What if I told you that the second set you're doing in the gym isn't helping you grow? In fact, it might be the exact reason your progress has stalled. For decades, we've been told that more sets mean more gains. But what if that idea is fundamentally wrong? Today, we're breaking down the one-set rule and the science behind why your second set could be sabotaging your muscle growth. Most people train like this: 3 sets, 4 sets, sometimes even 5 sets per exercise. They leave the gym exhausted, sweating, and convinced they had a great workout. But here's the problem. Fatigue is not the same as stimulation. Muscle growth is not triggered by how long you train, but by how effectively you stimulate the muscle fibers. And that brings us to a concept rooted in exercise science: maximum effective stimulus. When you perform a set to true muscular failure, you recruit the highest threshold motor units. These are the fibers responsible for the greatest potential for hypertrophy. This is explained by the size principle, first described by Elwood Henneman. It states that motor units are recruited from smallest to largest, meaning the most powerful muscle fibers are only activated when the demand is high enough. So what happens during your first all-out set? You progressively recruit more and more fibers, until, at failure, you've activated nearly all of them. At that point, you've already delivered the maximum growth stimulus your body needs. Now here's where things go wrong. When you go into a second set, your muscle is already fatigued. Your energy systems are depleted. Your nervous system is less efficient. Your force output is reduced. So instead of producing the same high-quality stimulus, you produce a weaker one. This second set doesn't significantly increase muscle fiber recruitment, because those fibers were already activated in the first set. What it does increase is fatigue, and excessive fatigue leads to longer recovery times, reduced performance in future workouts, increased risk of overtraining. In other words, you're digging a deeper recovery hole without adding meaningful growth stimulus. Muscle growth happens during recovery, not during the workout itself. Training is simply the trigger. If your training creates more fatigue than your body can recover from, you don't grow faster, you grow slower. This is where most people fail. They chase volume instead of efficiency. But the body doesn't reward effort, it rewards adaptation. And adaptation only occurs when stimulus and recovery are properly balanced.
The most salient characteristic of the vast majority of bodybuilders I meet is that they are confused, and the confusion results in their not achieving their goals. Most bodybuilders literally fail to achieve their goals, which is why they're perpetually asking questions of anybody and everybody they can. They come to seminars all the time. You know what I'm talking about. Again, how many bodybuilders do you know who are not impotently bewildered, disconcertingly confused? At least 99%. In fact, it could not possibly be true that all, or many, or even 2 training theories are of equal merit. You have to keep in mind here what a theory is. A theory is a set of abstract principles which purports to be either a correct description of some aspect of reality and/or a guide for successful human action. And there is only one reality. Is there anybody here who, there probably is there anybody here who would like to make the point that there's more than one reality? Well, good. We have at least a semi-rational audience. Since there is only one reality, come on, people, obviously there is and can be only one valid theory of any aspect of reality. Just as there is only one valid theory of epistemology, which is the theory of human knowledge, mathematics, electricity, chemistry, relativity, the theory of evolution. Likewise, there is and can be only one valid theory of productive bodybuilding exercise, and it just so happens to be the theory of high-intensity training. I don't have any weird damn emotional investment in this thing. It just so happens to be that the one valid, logical, non-contradict, in fact, it's the only theory. The theory of high-intensity training is the only theory that exists qua theory, which means as the theory is defined. A set of abstract principles, logically connected, which purports to be a correct description of some aspect of reality. The science of exercise, ladies and gentlemen, like the science of medicine, is based on an understanding of the principles of human physiology with a capital H. That means they apply to everybody, after all. Unless Pollock and his people are here, I would say we're all members of the species human beings, which of course are universal. That is applicable to all human beings. If every human being's cells, muscles, and organs were constituted and functioned differently, medical science couldn't exist as a viable discipline. Doctors couldn't make diagnoses, perform surgeries, or dispense medicines. It is this precise fact, the fact that the principles of human physiology are obviously universal, is what makes it possible for me to state with absolute, utter, total certainty that there is only one valid logical theory of productive bodybuilding exercise, i.e., one best way to train. It is not my mere opinion that every human being, literally every human being, requires intense training to stimulate growth. It is a well-authenticated fact beyond debate. And because the magnitude of the toll demanded by high-intensity training is very great, such training must be not just cautiously regulated, it must be hyper-cautiously regulated with regard to volume and frequency so you don't overtrain. Overtraining, remember, is not just a mistake, it's the biggest mistake you can make. Overtraining is literally that which prevents you from achieving the desired result. Increases in strength and size. And I'll talk more about that later.
The one set rule is simple. Perform one set per exercise, but make it count. That means controlled form, full range of motion, and most importantly, training to true muscular failure. Not it burns a little failure. Not I'm getting tired failure. But the point where another repetition is physically impossible. This is the approach popularized by Mike Mentzer and later supported by Arthur Jones. Their philosophy was clear: intensity over volume, because one properly executed set is enough to stimulate growth, and anything beyond that is often unnecessary or even counterproductive. Now you might be thinking, more sets must be better, right? Not necessarily. More sets can work, but they also increase fatigue, time investment, and recovery demand. And unless each set is performed with maximum intensity, they often become junk volume. Volume without purpose. Effort without efficiency. The real question isn't, how much can you do? It's, how much do you actually need? So next time you're in the gym, ask yourself, is this second set helping me grow, or just making me more tired? Because sometimes, doing less is exactly what your body needs to grow more.